Welcome to the Road to Launch podcast. I'm Katell Schmitz, creative director and co-founder of Ferré. Join me and Jon, my husband and business partner, as we share the behind the scenes of turning an abstract dream into an intentional product.
So we talked about already the fact that we're truly natural, clean, all that being a primary focus of what we're doing, accessible, part of the daily ritual. The other big component, I think, of what we brought to our perspective on how we wanted to do perfume was the concept-driven idea of how to come up with these and not just make things that smell good, but actually have kind of motivation behind them. So, in our roles and how we've kind of set this up, I know you've been more of like the strategy, the concepts. I've been more of making it, the chemistry side. So from that beginning point of coming up with these concepts, what was that like? For one, to come up with the idea of doing that, of having the stories behind them, but then also actually coming up with the initial ones here. What was that like?
I mean, I come from a branding marketing world, so that's all I know to do, to bring story, to create worlds with brands, but to create worlds with each one of the fragrances is what I wanted. And since I knew nothing about the chemistry side of things, I had to really think, before we get to that technical things, we have to go into it with a specific intention. We have to go into it with a specific story we want to tell with each one of them. And that's how we'll be able to then use all the technical things to put it together and create something physical. And then we can share with people from that place. So that's what I was thinking. And I think we're launching with 3 of them. I wanted each one of them to have their own personality. I didn't want them to compete. I didn't want them to have not anything to do with each other, but a little bit, so that we can say this one is for that, this one is for that, this one for that. So that was kind of the heart behind it. And then I think the next hurdle was to communicate that to you somehow, because in my head I could smell it. I could smell what each one of them would be. And then I had to figure out, how do I tell Jon this? How do I express that to him? And how is he then going to turn out these crazy words and ideas and feelings and very passionately expressing it to him, what I want, into something that actually will smell the same. So that, I think that's where it came from. And each one of them has a different story, and which we can share too. But as far as the process, this is how we started.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I know when we first started doing it too, it was really tricky. We didn't really know how to communicate about it. You kind of had these ideas because you had to connect these big stories to a scent. It was hard. We realized, okay, wow, we have a vision, we get it, but what does that smell like? And I know we were getting into different tools and different ways to do that. We were just getting into AI image generation at the time too. So we jumped on and used that to kind of create visual landscapes.
That was the breakthrough, I would say. Would you say?
That was a good. That was a big one. I think it was many things together. That was a really big breakthrough, because it's like, okay, now we're turning the ideas into something that's not just words. Yeah. Okay, so we're getting a visual of it now. Okay, that's getting us. It's abstracting the words a bit so that we can get these other sensory versions of them.
And I think we're both visual people. We're both creatives. So being able to say, okay, can you make it smell like this, was very powerful, because I felt confident showing it to you, saying, if you can make it smell like this, it's going to be it. And I think, I don't want to speak for yourself, but for you, but you could say, it seemed like you felt the same way. Oh yes, I think I understand what this smells like, and I can make that happen. So that was really cool. That was really powerful. I think when we got to that point, I enjoyed the process a bit more. I think before that it was
hit or miss. It was kind of hit or miss. We were making some, and I was like, "Is this what you're thinking?" No, okay.
No, it's not.
Yeah, no, and that's So it was definitely a journey, and it's it's like in our other work, in the web work, brand work. Yeah. It's when you work with someone, it's about finding that chemistry with them and having it get through. And I liked what you said about not knowing about the chemistry side and just coming up with ideas, because I like the web work we do as well. Yeah. That we do that way. We do it that way too, where you have these ideas for a website, and if you were to ask me, is this possible, I probably would often say, well, no, I don't think so.
That's why I don't ask.
But you're not limited by the technical restraints. You make it, and then you figure out how to achieve
to
it.
Make it happen.
I think that's fun. It's a really creative part of the journey of figuring out how to get around technical work things. And we talked about, like, when you had the idea for Pomme d'Amour, we needed some apple in there, and like we said, there's not an essential oil for that. So how do we do that? And so, finding all the different methods we can get there.
It forces you to learn too, I think, because we were just beginning.
And not be lazy.
Yeah, so don't just put the things that are obvious together. Let's actually research. Let's actually find out what could be. And I hope that in the end it created or allowed us to create something that is very instinctive, not just something that is obvious and a given and smells like something else, but something that we were trying to tell the story, and we found a way to make it happen regardless of what was supposed to be done, or this is the way it's done, and you don't get out of, you call it within the lines. I think in the end, I would say, maybe I'm daring to say, that the final product or products is unique and interesting because of that. I don't know. What would you say?
I agree. I think they're absolutely unique. I've never smelled anything like them.
Yeah.
I like that about natural perfumery too. I think it's easier to get to that really distinct place with natural perfumery. It doesn't just smell like you're walking through a Macy's perfume area. Like, they all actually have their own distinct things, which hopefully will trigger the feelings that we're hoping to pull out of people for these.
Yeah. I think another thing that was frustrating for me is how attached I was to some of these concepts. And I should know this, right? We've been doing creative work that is also technical work for so many years, but when you won't let go, you won't allow the thing you're trying to create to become what it needs to become on its own, that's when you can get frustrated. And I think at the beginning, expressing what I wanted was frustrating, but also letting go and allowing it to become what I wanted to become was the frustrating part. And I'm sure you felt that way, thinking, I can't make her happy. I can't do it.
Well, I think also we started with one of our flagship scent, and it's probably one of the more complicated ones too. And we're also then learning how to do this. So we started off with a huge thing to bite off, and
which I was really attached
probably
to
made it,
because I wanted it to reflect my mom.
Right.
So it's just like, no, I won't compromise.
Yeah. But hey, it's a good thing to learn with, the hard things. But so about your mom. So what was the first concept, if you want to start with Albertine?
Yeah. So my mom is a strong, beautiful African woman. So I wanted that to come through. And she perfumes herself. I mean, just beautiful. And wherever she goes, whichever room she enters, there's a shift. She brings both gentleness and strength. And people recognize that, and people just come to her because of that, I think, and stick to her in her life because of that. So I wanted a perfume, a fragrance that could do that. That's a tall order, but that's what I wanted. I wanted something that was warm, something that said flower without being delicate, something that had a lot of sensuality and strength, but also was open to be received and open to attract people, not closed off. Strength that is, so closed off. So that's what I told you I wanted. Make it happen, create that. So we had to figure out, what does that mean? What kind of floral is that? Where do we bring this warmth and this sweetness? How do we make it sexy and sensual and intense, but in a way that is not aggressive but inviting? How do you create a perfume that leaves a mark when you wear it? And it's tough, but it was important to me that it happened that way, and that's what we created at the end of the day. And you figured it out.
Yeah. So Albertine's your mom's name. What does the word mean, though? Because I had never heard of it until I met her. I had not heard that word. Maybe a lot of people have, but if they haven't, what is it?
Well, it's Albert, but feminine version of Albert. But okay. Albertine is a rose. It's an award-winning rose. So I think when we first started, we were going with rose, actually, the perfume, the first perfumes that we created, thinking they would be Albertine, but something still felt off. So we had to decide, okay, maybe it's not that we want a rose, maybe we want just some type of floral. And that's when we got to the point of jasmine. Yeah. I mean, you had to come up with all this. You had to figure it out. But so that's what I mean by don't let the format just imprison you. Just allow it to become something else, what it needs to be. Because in the end, when we made those tweaks, then it smelled like what I wanted to smell. Because I knew in my head, this is what it needs to smell like. And with the rose, just the obvious, just what made sense at first, it wasn't right.
Yeah, because it wasn't about the name Albertine. It was about
the spirit of
the woman,
what she brings. Yeah. So that was really cool.
Absolutely.
When we got to that point where like, oh, this is right. This is right. And I think some of the ingredients are the same at the end of the day, but the key ones that we changed, and I accepted the change. I think that really allowed it to be right.
Yeah. Well, I was looking back at some of the first versions and smelling some of them and looking at the ingredients we used. I mean, it's wildly different where we landed. Again, going through all these this journey of figuring out how to communicate it for one, but also what is it? You know, how do we make a perfume that smells like an idea? So that's cool.
It's exciting though.
It is,
it's challenging. It's exciting.
Yeah, and it goes back to what we said about everything being fueled by motivation, by strategy, and that's I think that's just where it all should come from. But so that was the first one. What came after that? It was, I think, I don't know, I can't remember how early on we decided we needed 3.
I mean, we called it number 2 for a long time.
Yeah, the second one.
Yeah.
The
second one, number 2. Yeah. No, you should tell that story. Okay. I think you should tell that story.
Yeah, so when we first moved to the Southern California area, I remember we went to the Safari Park Zoo, and it's an awesome zoo in the area. Our kids love it. We first went there, and I especially love it, not because of the animals, but just because of the place, the land it's on. There's so many, and that's another thing about this area I just love. It's so many plants, so much vegetation.
Very inspiring.
Yeah, the climate allows for all that. So there they really cultivate and have so much there. So walking around and smelling all the plants,
it's a whole experience.
It's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. And there's this one particular section that we walked by that was all these bushes, and I think primarily a juniper bush and all these things. It was just so fragrant, but it's so fresh. And was this, maybe remind me, was this when we already were working on Fleuret? Were we working Albertine already, or was this?
Yeah, we had. I think we had already there, decided, right? This is what we're doing. Yeah, so we knew we were doing Albertine.
So we had, so I think that's what helped trigger. Yeah. We were there. It's like we
stopped. And we're like, do you smell this?
Yeah, this vibe, this just being out with all of this around us, all these plants.
How it made you feel, and it was really cool. And we stopped the kids, we stopped both of us, and we're like, do you smell this? We got to create something that feels this way, like walking through this path of greenery that also has that sweetness, and it makes you feel like you belong there in this in nature. And we called it number 2. We didn't know it was going to be at first. Yeah. But
we didn't have a name for it for a long time.
Yeah,
I think I labeled it as B for number 2 for a long time, and then I think even it was just a few months ago. I think we really
beginning of the summer. End of spring, beginning of summer, we finally landed on the name, which we call it Jardin Vert.
Yeah, you should be the one.
Which just means great garden. Because I think the beauty of this one is it's so simple, but it's so it feels so natural. Yeah. It just feels right. And I think what I love about it is like anyone can wear it. It's unisex. Anyone can wear it. Doesn't matter the chemistry. Doesn't matter what you're doing. I think it just suits so well just how we are in the world, how we walk in the world, whether you're going just shopping in downtown, or you're going for a hike and you want to smell good, or you're just spending an afternoon with friends playing games and eating, and whatever it is. I feel like what I love really when I think about it is getting out of the everything shower. You wash your hair, you've scrubbed your body, you just feel so clean and so perfect, like you were meant to be. And then you put that on, it just complements who you are naturally. And that's what I think the simple name Jardin Vert is perfect for it, because that's what it is. You just lay down on a green garden. Yeah. I love it. That's I'm really excited about this one. Yeah.
So for the third one, I'll let you take this story. So Pomme d'Amour, what does the name mean? What is the concept behind it? How did you come up with it?
Okay, so for Pomme d'Amour, I wanted something almost in between the two. I wanted something that felt pretty, something that felt pretty or handsome. I think it probably leans more into a feminine, it goes feminine more than masculine, but I don't think that's necessarily a must. You have to pick, But I wanted something that felt that reminded you of that time between summer and fall, where you have all these memories of summer, and then you have all this anticipation of what fall brings and all the sweetness of fall, but you're remembering the love stories and the warmth of summer still. Just that time. And it doesn't have to be, you don't have to wear it only during that season. It's just that feeling bottled, and you can wear it any point in the year, and it's just that nostalgia mixed with anticipation, and it's just simple too. It's sweet. It feels warm. When I wear it, I just feel beautiful. I just feel like I'm walking in the room and I'm bringing some beauty, and I feel beautiful. And it's just when I just move my arm and I smell it, or I move my head and I just catch
you've
a
been
little
wearing
glimpse,
that
it
one a
just
lot
makes me
lately.
smile,
Yeah, it's
it's
nice.
just, and I think that's also the thing, different seasons. Sometimes I want to feel sensual. Sometimes just want to feel natural, simple. Sometimes I just want to feel pretty and beautiful. And I want people to have option, because we're versatile people, and we have different feelings, different days, and you don't have to be boxed in with just, I only wear musky perfume, or I only wear sweet perfumes, or I only wear very clean and light perfume. You can, but also you can on different days you can feel different things, different seasons, the eras, when everybody's saying I'm in my essential era, I'm in my clean girl era, whatever it is, right? It's just, it could be daily. We're moody people. I mean, that's how I feel, but I don't know. Which one do you feel the most connected to?
It's hard to say because I feel
'Cause
so
you
connected
made
with,
them.
with all of them,
Yeah.
and I've spent so much time smelling them and seeing the evolution of each of their life. Like they've grown up with me, so like it's hard. I can't really pick, to be honest. I think Albertine's super special because that's where we started, but then Jardin Vert is really special too because I was part of that concept and was there, and that one I really liked the beginning of that life.
You have an actual experience
Yeah.
moment. Yeah. That's
Yeah,
special.
but I love them all, and I love making them, so it's hard to say. But Pomme d'Amour, so with my very limited French, I know it means apple of love, literally.
Yeah.
What is that though? What does Pomme d'Amour actually mean in the context of speaking French?
Pomme d'amour is what is it called in English?
The candy apple.
Yeah,
right?
it's a candy
But
apple
you guys
that
call
you
it
have at
the
fairs.
apple of love, yeah, which is
Yeah.
a very French thing.
Yeah.
To call a candy apple of love. But
Yeah, pomme d'amour is just,
yeah,
it feels so luscious without, it's not like luscious like Albertine is, very intense, and
yeah,
I
it's
don't
very
know.
sweet
Yeah,
and
it's very sweet.
bright,
There's
yeah.
taking a bite into that apple, it's just, there's that tartness, but at the same time there's that sweet coated fruit, and
Yeah.
I think
But
that's
really
what it
fresh,
is.
but like still warm with the caramelization of the sugar and things like
It's just,
that.
and
yeah.
we all, and this is what a cool thing about scent too. It's connected to a memory, and you can mark memories and times in your life with scent,
Yeah.
and it's so powerful. And this is what Pomme d'Amour is for me. It's just like this time that we all know, we've all been to some type of summer or summer fall event, or
Like the fairs.
yes,
and,
and
the
we
thing,
have
yeah,
those
the
specific
markets.
smells and tastes that are connected to that and always bring us back. It could be childhood, it could be when we were teenagers, or even last year. And I think Pomme d'Amour does that. It's the perfect illustration of that. And then for us, we have a specific story with Jardin Vert, but I hope people will also create their own memories and stories around each one of these scents. Or maybe we're Albertine and that's the night you got engaged. I don't know, the night you fell in love. You precisely remember the night you fell in love. You were Albertine, whatever it is,
Yeah.
So that's my hope, that people create stories, their own stories around these scents and these perfumes. I think that's so exciting, and I hope they share with us, because I live for those and I want to hear them, and I will be crying, and the whole thing.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, that'd be really special if it can become theirs as much as it is ours too.